Hello, my name is Kirani Eid, and this is the introductory video series dealing with the common underlying conditions of almost all diseases and all mental disorders. It is the essential basics for all my other coming videos on specific diseases and mental disorders. It reveals shocking information that underlies medical conditions and which can help you overcome the major diseases and all mental disorders without medical interventions or with minimal medical interventions. And you can avoid these diseases and disorders altogether. Once you understand the underlying conditions, you too can safeguard your health and your life, and safeguard the health and the life of your children and pets. But only if you are humane. The reason is that you need to have autonomy. The loss of autonomy is, ironically enough, the price of being inhumane or toxic. To introduce this subject, I share with you an incident that happened in 2000 which made me rethink most of my basic scientific training, because up until that experience I believed the medical paradigm which I was taught at university, that is, that we are machines and that disease is just a malfunction in the machine or machine damage. What I learnt from this experience and other similar experiences and other information which I have gained prove the medical paradigm wrong. The incident I share happened after a very bad argument between my late husband and myself. I yelled, "I'm leaving you right now," and I stormed off into my bedroom and began to pack my belongings. In about 10 or 15 minutes, I began to experience breathing difficulties and chest pains. Then my husband appeared at the door and said, "If you stop packing and stay here with me, all those bad symptoms will go away." I spat at him that they were medical problems. I laughed at what I thought was a ridiculous idea. He kept his composure and said, "Look out of the window and you will see." "See what?" I asked quizzically. "How can anything outside of the house have anything to do with my medical problems?" "Just look out of the window," he insisted. I went over to the window and looked down. There were two men standing at the end of our driveway, and one of them had a bulge under his t-shirt, and by his hand movements it appeared that he may have been armed with a gun. The sight of these men made me feel a lot worse, but I still did not believe that the presence of these men had anything to do with my breathing difficulties and the chest pain. Then my husband said, "I'll call them off, and you'll see that you'll be well again." He opened the window, making some noise, and the men looked up. He then made a gesture with his hand as some superior dismissing his underlings, and with his gesture the men immediately left. As I saw them drive away, I felt relief, and within a minute my symptoms had vanished. I was puzzled how these men, whom I had not even seen while I was packing, had been associated with my medical problems. But I was determined to leave, and I continued packing. My husband frowned and threatened that he could call them back. And I wondered then if on other occasions when I had had similar health issues, if they were due to the same problem. I suddenly thought, if I understood what was happening, I could leave safely. Then my husband asked, "What can I do to make you stay here with me?" So I said that I would stay if he told me all that he knew. He said I was in no position to bargain, so I kept packing. Finally, he reluctantly agreed to reveal to me what sorts of things were done and how they were done to affect another person's health and thereby gain power and influence over them. My husband's first revelation was that he was toxic, or as he described, evil. And he said that there were many more evil people in the world than most good people would ever imagine. Good people, he said, were non-toxic, naive about evil work, and he described as the enemy. He said that toxic people were very loosely organized and that they included professional people like himself. He was an associate professor who worked both as a university lecturer and in research. I did not want to believe that he was evil and that there was organized crime amongst ordinary people. He explained that while I have a network of friends and was involved in friendship for the pleasure of friendship, toxic people never associate with others in this way. He said that toxic people need other like-minded people for what he called the procedures. The procedures turned out to be a euphemistic way of saying the foul game play. So out of necessity, toxic people form very loose, headless networks, which he said are very similar to a circle of friends, but those friends are their partners in crime. Toxic or evil people are psychopathic, but they are not the psychopaths that we see in the media. The people that my husband was talking about are the people psychiatrists call functional psychopaths or successful psychopaths. I will make a separate video to discuss what I have learnt about toxic people and their networks. Reports as to the number of toxic people in the world vary. Some say a tiny 1% of the population is toxic or psychopathic. Others say 1 in 25 people are dishonest and possibly toxic, that is 4%. And there are reports that claim 30% of men and a lesser percentage of women are toxic. It is hard to gauge how many people are toxic because they are two-faced and very deceptive. But as you will see, we can use the incidence of disease and disorders as a gauge because toxic people are involved. With this information, I would estimate that 10 to 15% of the world's population at least is toxic and possibly more. I began to document my early findings and share them with others, and I found that others also benefited from what I had learnt. My simple actions angered the toxic subculture, some of whom I realized were toxic doctors. I want to say here that one of the problems I see is that doctors, unlike other professionals, are not in control of their profession. It is Big Pharma that is in control of their profession. Big Pharma controls the doctors. They dictate what a doctor can say and do. They prevent the good doctors from being able to practice their profession without interference from commercially motivated interests. Once I created my blog, some said that I am sticking my nose where it doesn't belong. It is my duty to inform other humane people and raise awareness. So there is a serious conflict of interests between myself on the one side and the medical industry and toxic subculture on the other. As a result of my actions, many are saying that I have to pay, meaning that they want to do me harm, and I have no doubt they want me dead. And I strongly suspect that there are corrupt authority figures involved, such as corrupt politicians and corrupt public servants, including corrupt police. But this has been opportunity on a silver platter. Through the many attacks, I gained the opportunity to investigate cancer, diabetes, heart disease, strokes, anxiety, and many other conditions, and learned how to maintain health under the worst conditions. The knowledge I gained, I now share to help other humane people. You may think I am unkind for not wanting to help toxic people. I have tried to help toxic people in the past, though not realizing that they were toxic at the time. I found that not only are they not helpable, they will look to use the situation to disadvantage the person helping them and try to harm them to get their narcissistic supply, that is, to get pleasure from seeing another person's pain and suffering. I am not alone here in this discovery, because researchers who have tried to give psychopaths people skills find that they only use these skills to hurt others more efficiently. It is important to realize that a crime is defined by obvious physical means and not by the underhanded means. That this is a crime with a victim and a criminal or criminals, and that the criminals are to blame. But we are heavily conditioned to believe that this is not a crime, and in this case, the person suffering harm is seen as the one to blame, and who has no right blaming others. You will see that very heavy-handed criminal means are used together with methods that try to keep the victim in the dark as much as possible. These medical conditions are never seen as first-degree murder because the medical story defines them as malfunctions in the machine. Without knowledge of the foul play and with the medical misinformation, the person targeted is seriously disadvantaged, and anyone speaking up about their suspicions is treated as delusional and sometimes ridiculed. There are many high-functioning psychopaths who are highly educated and who rise to senior commercial, education, political and religious positions. Functional psychopaths in high places, however, are not alone. There are many toxic people in society who look like decent people, and these people become very influential in echoing the corrupt authorities. The aim of the foul play is to cause an unsuspecting person to react to circumstances and suggestions which have been manufactured into beliefs. As a person's reaction is somatic, adverse bodily reactivity may result. Doctors call this a nocebo effect. It is the opposite of the placebo effect. The critical fact is that with knowledge, a humane person can simply react in a different way and avoid the nocebo effect, avoid becoming a victim. They can defy the perpetrators and deny them their aims. A humane person can restore and or maintain their health with no need of medical treatment, and they only need that knowledge. And I highlight that understanding is critically important, because as long as you are in the dark, your willpower and training only help you react differently in some situations. Only when you have a clear understanding of the way in which toxic people relate can you overcome the problem. Even with the disadvantage of subliminal thoughts, you can easily react differently. The reason is that your understanding makes those ideas and beliefs unfounded. So, knowledge about the activities of toxic people, or what I call the cheats, is the key to health. In my opinion, there is a gross misrepresentation of the human condition by those that we trust, the biomedical scientists. For instance, there are no rogue cells in cancer. Cancer is about stem cell mediated immunity, erroneously ignited in the body due to manufactured beliefs. It is a paper tiger. One can more easily get over cancer than get over the flu. Disease as a malfunction in the machine is a gross misrepresentation of the reality. The medical misinformation is critical in one key area, and that is in human extrasensory perception, or ESP. This is the ability we have to perceive mental suggestions within relationship. The experiments that involve ESP and relationship are never done in science, and in not doing them, a claim is made that there is no ESP, or that it is very weak. I will start a video series on ESP to show you how you can do your own simple experiments and satisfy yourself that ESP is real and very strong inside of close relationships. You can visit my blogs at kirani99.wordpress.com. In the next video of this series, I will begin the discussion of the procedures, or foul game play. How can beliefs be manufactured? And here is a little background about myself.